Hello, fairy friends. Welcome to Saturday, November the 13th, 2021. Today's video is going to be a little bit lighter, so I'm super excited. I do have some notes over here, so if you see me like looking over, that's what I'm looking at. Nothing cool. Okay, let's just dive right in. We have, so one of the configurations of what's happening right now is a configuration with Neptune and Mercury and Uranus. I don't really want to go into a lot of technical stuff because that's not really why you would be watching this video. There's so many other teachers that teach technical stuff, so hit me up if you need a reference. And also, so I don't forget, please like and subscribe to the videos so that they can reach more people. It's the only way to get them to reach more people, but I don't know. I hate having to do the same thing as everyone else. Like, I don't know. I've always been that way, actually, and I'm finally starting to embrace that. But yeah, it's kind of a necessary evil like money. Okay. So this energy that's happening right now is, for me, it is very relaxing because we have Neptune brings this dream-like quality. It's a really slow-moving transit, or slow-moving planet, so you don't actually see a lot of people talking about it often because it doesn't move that often, so it's kind of old news after you say it the first time. But if something else that's moving faster gets near it, then that's when it's activated, and that's when you'll hear people talk about it. But Neptune is like just very generational, sort of feels Piscean to me, like a Pisces energy. It's one of the planets I know least about because I study Hellenistic astrology, and since I would still consider myself a novice in a lot of ways. I haven't really done a deep dive into this because I don't, into Neptune, because it's not as important as the other planets, in my opinion, as influence. However, today we are going to enter into this magical dream-like state. So one of the things I want you guys to do is take a deep breath. You made it through last week. Some of that energy is still lingering, but the beautiful thing about the chart most of the time, or the skies most of the time, is that there's usually some place that gets activated where you can find relief, where you can breathe where you can feel safe. And right now it's the Neptune energy, in my opinion. So I just really want you guys to think about what you need and practice a lot of self-care. Energy is supporting self-care right now. Also, take time to pay attention to all the things that you love, on a visceral level. So, sometimes people say, oh, I love my pet. Okay, that's a given. But when you walk outside and you see all the beautiful leaves, do you love them? Do you have a strong reaction to that? You should look at them. If you don't, then that's not your thing, but you might, part of, I think, the journey of being a human is discovering what your personal flavor profile is. For example, most of you like laying in the grass. I hate it. I do not like laying in the grass. It makes me itchy. There's bugs. No. I'm very, maybe I'm basic, but probably not, because I don't think that's even a choice for me. I guess that would be basic. That would be the opposite. Extra. Anyway, so all of these things are specific to you. So just get to know what feels good. That's what the energy is about. And if you find it hard, the way that other people relate to you, if you find it hard to get their attention or help or keep your own attention. Be gentle with yourself. Like, maybe today's not the day to have a real hardcore conversation about anything where like you have to do all the structured stuff. That energy is still present, but I really, I don't hide away from the hard stuff, and I think that's why you're drawn to me, whoever you are. But I also want to make sure that you get to see and feel the magic that is on the other side. And today, well, actually the next couple of days are the days to do it until Monday. And then Monday we have another hard energy. But let's not focus on that. Let's like play in Neptune land. And this is also a good time, when I was talking about paying attention to what you like, use those visceral, first of all, your body gives you clues as to what your being, however you want to describe it, likes. So one of the things that I'll talk about again in a few minutes is just really getting to know what physical responses to things you have. If you go outside and you get tensed up, that's important to know. Like, maybe because I want you to build your dream world. Like, I want you to take this energy, if you want to. I want you to take this energy and use it to activate like your creative ability to construct a world in your mind that you want to be in, how you want to show up in the world, what kinds of things do you want around you, like what supports this dreamlike state. That is all things that are going to be easier for you to explore within the next couple of days. So just take some time, even if it's like 30 seconds and throughout the day, and just take a deep breath, close your eyes, and just feel your body. Like, just feel it. Most of the time when I really am into something, even the red leaves outside, I get this excitement in this area-ish, like in my solar plexus. And I think a lot of people do, but it's really different for everyone. Like, we didn't all come on this earth to be like each other. We came on this earth to figure out how we can expand. And so we're always expanding and being different. And my cues might change. That's why it's fun to figure them out. So I want you guys to just really focus in on what you love, not what you're supposed to love, not what you want to love, which I do a lot. I try to force myself to like and love things and want things that are normal, because that seems a lot better than some of the shit I've had to deal with. Anyway, and another thing is to try to memorize those feelings so that you can pull on them later. I personally have started a filing system in my mind, but it would be, if you like journaling or writing things down, or most of you guys are like really just now starting on this journey, it might be helpful for you to also have a physical like notebook or something for your feelings that you intentionally memorize, because what I want you to have is, during the hard times, I want you to have something, some place is sort of the way that I like to make it, some place to go to get to feel those feelings that you're feeling right now, that's pleasing to you, that's comforting to you. And the only way you can do that and jump to that place is if you know exactly what that place is. And you cannot intellectualize it. Like, our brain, that's not our brain's job. Well, the part of the brain that we use the most as Americans, we've trained it to be dominant. And it's not going to access it. It's not going to be able to come up with anything if anything's not there. So if you don't take the time to label, describe, and memorize these feelings that feel good to you, and like how you got there, then your brain, because it is used to accessing things in sort of a logical, linear way, won't know where the file it needs to pull is. You know, if you're like, I hate where I am right now, like let's say you're in a line at Walmart, which is usually a place that I get really grumpy. So let's say that you're in a line at Walmart and you're like, I hate all of these feelings. Like everybody here is stressed out and nobody's smiling at each other and this just sucks. And it's easy and so much more fun to have your brain, like to ask your brain or spirit or whatever to pull that file where you can just go to the Neptune land and those feelings. And honestly, this skill has improved my life more than anything else. Really, literally anything else. Any therapy, any logic, any self-help. This particular skill literally saves my life often. So I want you guys to start cultivating it and just like have fun with it. Like I think that's the most important part, is that it's genuine, it's visceral, and it's you. And you can look around to other people, but they're not going to have your answers, especially in this department. So permission to dream and love and be who you want to be and feel how you want to feel, and memorizing it and finding a way to access it. It's like a quick button or whatever, a shortcut. That's what it is, a shortcut. Okay, cool. Let's see. Just the image that came into my head, which is pretty normal for this, is if you, I would like take a bath maybe when you're trying to access these energies, or if it makes you relaxing, like it's just, if you decide to engage with this energy, it's just very flowy. And a bath is a really good place to be flowy. I always put salt in my bath. I put Epsom, but I also put pink Himalayan salt in. And then I don't know why, it's you know, you guys know I channel stuff. Also rose is the essential oil or the smell profile that I'm seeing here, which is, I don't know that much about rose. Anyway, but that's what it is. So if it resonates with you, maybe that popped in my head just for you. Okay. I talked about this. Answers in play. Oh, yeah. So another way to play with this is to sit down with the intention of speaking to Neptune or your higher self, or however you want to conceptualize. But really, actually, it's asking yourself. So sit down and in a journal, ask yourself questions. Go back and read the questions and feel and grasp the first response that you have. The very first response, and write that down. And that's a good way to start figuring out what's inside of you that you already know the answer to, but your subconscious might be blocking you from because of past trauma. That's what my subconscious is, a beast. And it protects the hell out of me. And sometimes there's some weird shit that I've done that I don't even remember doing. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. And you guys won't activate it like that. I've had, for whatever reason, like I've had a lot more time to figure out some of this stuff. So it's also been very intense. And that's not everyone's design. So don't get stressed out about it. Just have fun with it. Journal, ask yourself your questions, just like you would ask me. And if you're asking yourself the question and you haven't even finished writing it yet, sometimes the answer just pops into your brain, or an image will pop in, or maybe music or whatever. Like, pay attention to that. Like, we have been taught in this society to only pay attention to logic. And it's so ironic because literally, we are not created from logic. Like, whatever it was that created us, or however you think we should get here, it is not from a place of logic. the place of logic is cold and calculating. It's not bad. I use it all the time. I love it. But that's not actually what this is about. That's the least thing that it's about sometimes. So, yeah, I forgot what my wrap up to that was, but just, yeah. Okay, I really did forget, sorry. Okay. Oh, yeah, it was about trusting ourselves. So, like, we're taught to, like, not learn about to not even trust ourselves. Like, if there's a first response, but it doesn't seem logical or it doesn't seem appropriate at the time, we'll just write it off. But if you're training yourself to answer yourself, it's very important to write those things down, because even though they might feel disconnected from the question or weird, they will always provide at least part of the answer that you're seeking. And part of the journey and part of the fun is to meditate on it. And I don't even mean like sit down, chanting, kind of meditating, but I mean like just thinking about it and like exploring it and being playful with it and being like, well, that was weird, but okay, cool, you know? Because if you start engaging in your creativity that way, because that is literally what we are and what we're here to do. If you engage in your creativity that way, then you'll find the answers, and it's fun because they might not come right away. I've had answers like come to me like 5 years later, but it is the most fun. And for me personally, it almost always comes from like a synchronization moment, and because I've got a lot of Libra energy, it also happens a lot more when I'm with other people, one other person. I'm still wrapping my head around that. Okay, the people thing. Oh, and then it would be good, like if you want to play with tarot, or some other thing, but tarot specifically, you don't have to know the cards. You don't even have to know anything about tarot to get answers from tarot. The only thing you need to know is make sure you shuffle them well, meditate on your question while you're shuffling, and make sure you buy a set with a little hand guide, which I don't know. My other ones are in my room because I like to do my tarot in my bed most of the time. But get a tarot deck that says that it has a guidebook, and that's it. Like whatever card pops up, you don't have to know what it means, but your book knows what it means. And honestly, that's what I do all the time. The tarot readings that I did do were like with cheat sheets, because because the way that we're applying learning some of this stuff is still behind. And if we really want to learn and we engage in the creativity, there's space for us to master things quickly, or master specific things just to get to a specific place. It might be the first and last time you ever use tarot, and that's okay. So, or anything like that, as long as you are very clear, and also as long as you set the intention that you're only talking to your high self or God or whomever it is that you trust, that is an energy that is of creation, and that nothing can enter without your permission, or nothing can enter, period. As far as entity or like energy. Okay, I don't want to freak you guys out, and you shouldn't be freaked out. All right. Oh, and then with this energy, there's going to be actual paradigm shifts because the dreamlike nature of Neptune is being activated, and then Mercury and Mars are also talking to it. They're hanging out. They don't always they get along pretty well. But what's going to happen is something's going to come to you fast, and it's probably going to be surprising, and it's probably going to be out of nowhere, kind of like we talked about last one of the last videos. And what that does is it creates the space for a paradigm shift. So don't be surprised, and don't be mean to yourself or to your subconscious or to your body. You might start questioning everything. And that's the point. Literally, that's the point. Like, even if you're like the most diehard Christian, it does not say anywhere in there that you should just become a robot, right? Like, it doesn't ever say that, period. So just sort of give that some idea. Like, give yourself space to question, because the question isn't the problem. The not questioning is the problem. Our brains are wired to have to answer questions. And so if you want to know something, you have to ask. And your brain then starts going like, all right, how are we going to figure this out? And it's going to start looking for the answer everywhere. And it might be different than like what you've explored before. So you might have a big paradigm shift, and that's awesome. I have them all the time, and sometimes it is exhausting. But again, my design is intense. There's no other way around it. And yours probably is not at all like that, because that is just, I still think I was drunk when I checked my boxes of what's going to happen in my life. Okay. There's also, it's going to be easier to access or like play around with like third eye things, like psychic things. That's your thing. I'm not going to spend any time on it because that's not really the point of the channel, or this, the channel, the video. And so the things to be mindful of, because of course there has to be balance, right? So the things to be mindful of are engaging in rebellion for rebellion's sake. So there still will be that sort of scratchy edginess. We're kind of coming off of that a little, but it's still going to be present. And with Mercury in the mix, which is words and thoughts, that's how I know that most of you probably will have a paradigm shift. It might not be immediately right now, but it might anyway. Yeah. So Mercury there with Mars, it's still that impulsiveness. And again, like, listen to yourself, honor your feelings, allow yourself to feel whatever it is, even if like you see a random candy wrapper and it pisses you the fuck off and you don't know why. The important part is not the reason, it's the question, right? Like, what was that? Did I eat that candy bar during like a trigger? It doesn't always have to be that serious, but it is fun to like listen to yourself. And then, so rebellion for rebellion's sake, don't engage in that, because that is not the energy. The energy is expanding. So rebellion for rebellion's sake is like engaging someone in sort of this restrictive conversation, or trying to put something in a box. And like, that's the opposite of Neptune. So that's not going to go very well for you. That's also the opposite of your Uranus. That's good. So you just don't want to do that. All the things that you want to do need to come from a creative space, not from a scarcity mindset, or like need to like convince other people of other things. That's not your job. That's why they have spirit guides. You're not a spirit guide. You decide to be human. It's not your job to convince them. It's just your job to be you here, right now. Completely you. Okay. So with all of this, most of the astrology teachers that I follow, when it comes to Neptune, they do almost always have this tagline as like a fair warning when you're dealing with this energy. So Neptune, when it doesn't have any boundaries, can lead to like addiction, because if you think about the creative energy, I won't go there. Just be careful. Like, if you're feeling the urge to like do a psychedelic, for example, or take a psychedelic and like have a psychedelic, use this energy for that, then make sure you have people and things that will ground you when you are there and when you come back out of it, because you can get lost in there. And the propensity for addiction right now is really high, because you're going to, like, especially like if you're drinking or smoking weed or whatever, it's going to be easier for you to get to those Neptune-like places, right? It's going to be even better, even smoother than it was before all of this transiting energy was happening. And so it's easier to become addicted because you're going to be releasing like all of these endorphins and like neurotransmitters that are much like sex, really. And it might feel so good that you want to keep going back, but it may not be that again. Every day is just designed so much differently. So whatever you experience in that way, honor the fact that it's only for this transit. It's only for this moment, and no amount of drugs or alcohol or fasting or anything is going to get you there. Okay? Like, this is like a 3-day weekend retreat in Africa where you can do the things that you want to do to get to where you want to go spiritually, but then you have to come back. Because if you get lost there, then that's just not a fun trip. Okay. And okay, I think that's everything. So, like, subscribe, share. Actually, share. I do want you to share because I'm doing these videos to like help all my fairy friends, and so I want to help all your fairy friends too. So share. And as always, which I'll say every time, slightly begrudgingly, but not as much as like and subscribe, is my website. If you want a reading with me, if you want to know specifically where this Neptune energy exists in your chart, if you want to know if you've never had your birth chart read before, I would love to be the person to introduce you to the world of astrology. My sessions are not as technically based, so don't be afraid if you don't know anything about astrology. I like teaching that part. I like guiding you through. I like explaining things in a way that makes sense to you, and I like having an ability to not disconnect you from it, right? If I started talking in like all these astrology terms and then did never explain them, that is going to be not helpful for you. No matter how much information I give you, it's going to be like I'm giving it to you in a separate language. So yeah, I do recommend, if it's your first time, to come to me, because I literally don't know any other astrologer. I'm sure there are, but I just don't have exposure to them that actually either is capable, aware, or interested, and I'm all three, in bringing this information to you, like meeting you where you are, instead of trying to get you to learn all this stuff to get to where I am, because that's just useless. So, if that's something that you feel like you want to do in a safe environment, then please book a session with me. And I can honestly help you with a lot of stuff. All right. My website is www.ShannonSocialBillionaire, which is ShannonEtalia.com. And the appointments that you see up there are actually my appointment slots that I have available right now. So I am actively taking clients now. I was not 2 weeks ago, but I am now taking clients. And it will ask you to pay a deposit so that I can sort of weed out anyone who isn't really that interested. And yeah. Okay, cool. Hopefully I will see you in your next session with me. But if not, I'll see you next time. Enjoy the energy today. Yay. Bye.